Hello everybody and welcome to another video brought to you by GreyElephant Gaming. My name is Tim Norris, aka GreyElephant, and today's video is a how-to play video on Hoplomachus. This video is a player versus player tutorial where I'll take you from setup all the way to in-game victory conditions. The first thing you'll do in Hoplomachus is place the play mat that represents the arena between each player. Then each player will select one of the three cities that they wish to represent. El Dorado is the yellow city, Atlantis the blue, and last but not least, Xanadu is represented by the green. In this example, one of the players has selected El Dorado, represented by the yellow chips. They have taken all their chips and placed them on their side of the arena. The other player chose Xanadu, represented by the green chips, and they too have taken all their chips and placed them on their side of the arena. Next, each player is going to look for their champion in their stack of chips. It's easy to tell which one is your champion. He's the only character in the bag that has a black and white side and a color side. Your champion will start on the black and white side. Next thing you'll do, each player will grab 9 health tokens represented by these red chips, placing them underneath their champion. Remember, your champion should be facing the black and white side up. Next, what you'll do is you're going to grab all your remaining chips and you're going to place them in this black bag. Just like that. Next, each player would randomly draw 4 chips out of their bag, placing each one of them in their ready prep area. Now, if you notice, the yellow player only has 4 circles, whereas the green player has 6. The only reason that is because this end of the board would be used for solo and co-op play. This tutorial is only covering the player versus player. The rest of the chips will remain in the bag for now, but keep the bag in easy reach. You will be drawing more chips throughout the game. Next, each person should locate their crowd favor bead. Notice the yellow player has his here and the blue player up there, placing it on the 0 mark down at the bottom of the crowd favor meter. We're almost ready to begin. Now what we're going to do is we're going to flip the coin to determine who goes first. One player would call out either heads or tails and flip the coin that was provided. Heads, represented by this head of a tiger. Tails, represented by this guy who looks like he just got whooped. Flip the coin and determine who goes first. The player who is first then would place his gladiator on one of the 9 starting areas on the board, represented by these tan areas that are darker right here. I've already started the green player here, and the yellow player then would choose where he would like to start from there. Game is just about ready to start. Next, grab the 9 white tactic tokens that are found in the box. These will represent crowd favor rewards that you're going to be able to earn throughout the game. The tactic tokens are easy to identify because they say tactic at the top of the chip. Place them upside down in the middle of the board, shuffle them up, and then each player is going to take 3 of them and place one on each one of these circles on their side of the board. Next, look for the 3 white gladiator chips that are crowd favor rewards that you could earn. They look like this. They are easy to tell apart from the tactics because they do not say tactic here. They actually have a name of a character listed here. Place those upside down in the arena as well. Shuffle them together, and each person will randomly draw one and place it at the last circle at the top of the board. Now you are ready to begin to play Hoplomachus. At the start of each turn, the phase 1 would be calculating crowd favor stones and draw chips. But because this is the start of the game, we will not be able to do either one of those. However, I will demonstrate how those work later on. So the first thing that the green player, because he is the player who won the contest when flipping the coin, would do is he would look at each one of his 4 gladiators or tactics that he has face down on his side of the board. These chips should always be concealed from your opponent, so your opponent never knows exactly what you have in front of you. However, I am going to flip all of them face up just for easier demonstrational purposes. I've now turned each one of the chips face up, facing the camera as best as I can, and if you notice, neither player has drawn a tactic. Each player has 4 gladiators sitting in front of them. There's a difference between gladiators and tactics, and we'll cover that here in just a bit. But for now, what I want to do is I want to teach you how to deploy units. To be able to deploy a unit, simply select one of the 4 chips that are in front of you in your prep area and place them in one of the 6 deployment zone hexes that are on your side of the board, located here, 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 and here. So the green player decided that he wished to bring out his defender. Let's take a closer look at this chip. Up here represents the health of that character. So you would place 5 red chips underneath him as a stack of health. Right here is his attack range. Notice that his 1R means he has a range of 1. Right here represents his speed. So he can move 1 space per turn. And here would be his ability to use tactics and the tactical range. So therefore, he could only use a tactic 1 hex away from where he is at. Right here represents the color of dice that he would roll if in combat. He also has an ability called Intercept Blow and another one, Reposition. And we will go over what those mean in just a minute. So first thing, let's go ahead and grab his 5 health, create a nice little stack, and then we're going to place him right here next to our champion. Now the yellow player would decide whether or not he wishes to bring one of his gladiators or use one of his tactics. Well, he only has 4 gladiators, and it is always wise to bring your gladiators out as early as you can. But remember, this is an optional action. So if he wanted to, he can decide to bring out this guy right here. Now, something to note is that each city has 2 special gladiators that belong to them. This is one of the Eldorado's special gladiators that belong to their city. He has the same ability listed on him as what the champion does as well. So the first thing we'll do is we're going to look at his health. He has 3 health. So therefore, let's take 3 chips, add them on a stack underneath of him, like that, and then we're going to place him on one of the 6 deployment hexes on the side of the yellow player. He decides that he wants to go on this side of the board. It's important to note that when gladiators first arrive in the arena, they are neither allowed to move nor attack, unless otherwise stated on their chip. Now that the first round is over, we're going to take a full turn with the green player. The first thing the green player would do is he would look at his bag and he would draw 1 more chip out of it and place it in the 1 open space that he has available in his prep area. Just like that. And he would leave it face down, but just remember, for demonstrational purposes, I will leave it face up. Notice that the green player drew a tactic. This one will boost the health of 1 friendly character by 2. We're going to go ahead and use this tactic for now. And the reason is because I want to demonstrate just how tactics exactly can be used. Remember when I showed you the little feather that was on the bottom of the character on his chip? Located right there. That is his tactical range. So therefore, if he wanted to, he could try to use a tactic on anybody that would be around him and from 1 hex away, or he always has the ability to use the tactic on himself. So if the green player wanted to, he can dispose of this chip, take 2 more health chips, and add them to the stack of health already available to his defender that is sitting next to him. Next, you would determine whether or not you have earned any crowd favor. To be able to earn crowd favor, you have to either have occupied one of these stones located here in the center of the arena, which would gain you 1 crowd favor point, or you would have had to have occupied both of the stones at the beginning of your turn, which would gain you 3 crowd favor points. You also earn crowd favor by eliminating your opposing gladiators. You will get 2 crowd favor points for every gladiator you have eliminated. But because the green player has not earned any crowd favor, we're going to reset his token down here at the bottom on 0. Now, what he is able to do is he is allowed to move. Now, it's important to remember that champions always start inactive. That is why their black and white side is face up. However, he does have his defender out, and if he wanted to, he could move him. Now, the defender does have a couple of special abilities. Number 1, he's got a special ability that allows him that, let's say if this character was here and was attacking his champion, that if he did any damage to this champion, the defender could actually absorb that damage instead of the champion. The other ability that a defender has is that he can actually reposition, which means normally he only has a movement of 1, but if he wanted to, he could move 2 spaces. However, that negates his ability to attack for a turn. So if the green player decided he could move his defender up to the spot where he occupies, at that point his turn would be over again. The game does start slow like this because that's why it's important to get your gladiators onto the board early and as quick as you can. Now it would transition back over to the yellow player's turn. So now it would be the yellow player's turn to go again. So the very first thing he's going to do is he's going to take his bag full of chips, randomly draw one out. He too grabbed a defender. And then he would place him in his prep area. And remember, these would be face down, but for demonstrational purposes, we're going to leave them face up. The next thing he would do is he would determine whether or not he has earned any crowd favor. He doesn't occupy any one of the stones here in the center. He hasn't slayed any gladiators yet, so therefore he is still 0 on his meter. The next thing he would do is he's going to select one of his 4 gladiators or tactics that he wishes to use this turn. He has decided to bring out the Tactician. Now the Tactician has a special ability about him, listed right here, called Initiative. The Initiative ability allows him to immediately move as soon as he's summoned. So, take the 2 health chips, place him under him, and the yellow player is going to place him right there. Now, he can move his characters around the board. The yellow player is in perfect position to try to take the 2 stones in the center of the arena. The first thing he can do, because the Tactician moves 3 spaces, is go 1, 2, 3, occupying that stone right there. This character here also moves 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. The yellow player has established himself in the center of the arena. Now, it's important to remember that the yellow player will not earn any crowd favor until the start of his next turn. The other thing it's important to remember is that he is out of range to attack the green player's gladiators. So that would end his turn. So next we're going to go over to the green player, and once again he will draw 1 chip out of his bag. He grabbed another tactic, which is Hamstring. Hamstring, the way that works is that you can place it on any one of the characters as such. That reduces his movement to 0. This is very powerful to use against tacticians or these characters that have high movement. So once he would determine, he would select one of his characters and bring him onto one of his deployment hexes. He wishes to bring out an archer. An archer starts with 2 health, and he will place the archer in this position right here. The archer also has another special ability, which is called First Strike. Normally, you are not allowed to attack with a gladiator when he's first summoned. However, the archer has the special ability First Strike, which does allow him to attack. But remember, it is always important to remember you have to perform your movement actions before you perform your attack actions. That is an easy rule to forget because it's easy to say, okay, well, now I want to attack real quick to this character. However, this guy would be stuck here where he's at because you have now initiated the attack phase of the game. So keep in mind, we want to try to move this character first before we do anything else. So this guy decides he will move right back to here and position himself between the archer and the champion. Now the archer can decide to attack this guy up here that's on the crowd favor stone. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at his range. He has a range of 2. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh no, that guy's too far away. No, he's not, because the archer also has another ability called Long Shot. Long Shot will allow him to roll 1 yellow die. He hit. This guy took 1 point of damage, which would be removed from the bottom of his stack. He now has 2 health left to him. That would end the green player's turn. Now we would switch back over to the yellow player. Now the yellow player established himself pretty firmly in the center of the arena. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and draw one of his chips out of his bag and place it in his prep area as so. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to determine, did he earn crowd favor? Well, yes, he did. He owns not just 1, but 2 of the stones in the center of the arena. That grants him 3 crowd favor points that he would move up his crowd favor bead up. Once he gets up to this point here, he is going to be able to have an ability. What that is going to do is it's going to unlock his champion finally. Once your champion becomes activated, half the game is really won. It is important to note that the yellow player only gained 3, he did not gain 5, which it does take to get to this spot, the number 1 here on the crowd favor meter. However, let's say that he did hit that 1. He would then flip his champion over to show that he is active. However, now we've got these white chips. What do we do with these? Well, because he is the first character to reach this level, and the blue player has not gained any crowd favor, whoever is lowest is going to gain the chip that is located on their meter. So for instance, the yellow player would just basically toss this aside. He's lost that chip. What he has gained is the ability to unlock his champion. However, the blue player has gained this white chip, and he is going to place this down in his prep area right here for now. Now that chip will eventually come up into his prep area up to here, but for now just keep it down here to show that it is a earned chip. The game continues like this, a very cat and mouse. It's all about positioning, it's all about being smart with your gladiators. Sometimes you sacrifice them, sometimes you go hard for the attack. Unlocking your champion is half the battle. It is very difficult at times to feel that you are behind in the game, only to be able to catch up later, mainly due to them white tactic tokens that you can earn throughout the game. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to demonstrate some of the abilities of some of these characters. Now the yellow player still can deploy one of his gladiators. He has decided to bring out his own archer, placing him on this stone right here. Now what he can do is he still has a movement phase and an attack phase left in his turn. So the first thing he's going to do is he is going to move this character to this spot here. Next, he's going to bring this gentleman and put him in a position there. Now, it's important to note that you wish to complete all your movement phase before you go to the attack phase. You will lose your movement on the characters that you forgot to move. So, it is important to bring this Tactician up immediately before you start activating any of his abilities. The reason that I speak of that is his ability is Fury Aura. Now what Fury Aura allows him to do is he inflicts 1 point of damage to each one of the characters next to him, the opposing characters. So if he wanted to, he could now go ahead and activate that ability. Now the defender here could try to absorb that blow that would be delivered to this archer. However, the problem is that the defender can only absorb blows from basic attacks. Well, this is actually an ability. It's not a basic attack. So the archer would receive 1 point of damage, and the defender, too, would receive 1 point of damage. Now we could go to his regular attack. His regular attack would consist of 1 black and 1 blue die. However, because he does have a Tactician next to him, the Tactician will give him a bonus yellow die. He would choose which character he wishes to attack, roll the dice, and whatever the results are, he would pull that much damage off. Now, because this was a basic attack that this character inflicted, and let's say he was attacking the archer, the defender then could decide to absorb them blows. So he's going to take 2 more damage, reducing his stack down to only 4 chips now. The Tactician also has another ability. He does not roll when he attacks. What he does is he just does 1 point of damage to any one character next to him. So he could once again decide to give him 1 damage. Or he can decide to go ahead and give it to the champion here. Why not go ahead and give it to the champion while he's next to him? Now the defender could absorb that one because that was an attack. Now, the archer located down here does have the long shot ability. And because he does have this first strike ability, he can attack even though he was just summoned in. But because the opposing green character is 4 hexes away, he can't do a normal attack. But he can do a long shot, which means he rolls 1 yellow die, and he missed. That would end the yellow player's turn. So now you've seen some good abilities that each one of the characters, and you see how they can work with one another. The defender protected the archer and kept him from dying. The Tactician bolstered the attack power of this character here. The archer was able to fire from afar. This is how the game works. Throughout the game, you're going to try to put yourself in the best position. Group up your gladiators the best you can. The whole goal of the game? Defeat your opponent's champion. Once that's accomplished, you win the game. But I do want to talk about one more thing real fast, and that's the crowd-elected gladiators. If ever you are able to achieve the number 4 spot located on your crowd meter, you would gain the ability to take a crowd-favored gladiator who is elected by the crowd and place him and have him fight for you. So this character here would immediately start with 3 health. He'd have a 2 range, 2 speed, and 2 on his range for Tactician, and he would roll 2 black dice in combat. This character here would start with 5 health. He'd have 1 attack range, 2 speed, and 1 range on his Tactician. But look at all them dice he gets to roll for the attack. 2 black, 1 blue, 1 yellow. Unlocking these gladiators can be very, very powerful, and they could be game changers. Thank you for watching. One thing I failed to mention was that in the prep area in front of you, if you do not have enough chips to draw out of your bag to keep it full with 4 chips, your champion will receive 2 points of damage per open slot. That can be very risky towards the end of the game. Now, I didn't show you all the gladiators and all their abilities. What I would recommend is that if you did enjoy this video, that you go check out Chip Theory Games. There you'll be able to see examples of other gladiators and all their abilities to the full. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed this game, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below and I'll do my best to answer. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.